you have clicked or tapped onto the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. It's Weather for Weather Geeks, and we've got a lot to talk about on this Monday evening. In fact, a late season wintry blast. We started talking about this late last week. We talked about the possibility of some snow during the middle of this week, and it's going to come to fruition late Tuesday night and into early Wednesday. All the details on that coming up. First, a quick review of today. We had some shallow fog underneath our tower camera early on this morning. This did burn off pretty quickly. Nice looking day overall today. We had some cirrus clouds, upper level cirrus clouds replaced by those popcorn cumulus clouds midday and afternoon today. The clouds are thickening up some as we have gotten into the evening hours. Now, this is kind of the high water mark of the week, temperature-wise. We won't be this warm again until early next week. We did 65 at the Youngstown Warren Airport today, 66 in Akron, 65 in Cleveland. Pittsburgh was at 64. Just before 6:30, radar showing a little light rain. A lot of this is not reaching the ground. There's some pretty dry air in the lower levels of the atmosphere, but that being said, a cold front is approaching, and with the approach of that front, there could be a spotty sprinkle or a shower before the evening is through. Now, this is a pretty sharp cold front. We're hanging on to 62 locally, but Detroit's at 49, Milwaukee's at 45, Minneapolis is at 38. Again, pretty strong cold front toward north and west. Now, this front's going to essentially stall over us during the day tomorrow. It's really going to hit the brakes as it comes into eastern Ohio and western PA. There might be a shower here and there, especially first thing in the morning. I don't think there's much rain during our Tuesday. In fact, there'll be some sunshine here and there, especially in our southern television viewing area. The wintry intrigue waits until later Tuesday night and early on Wednesday. The temperature forecast is interesting tomorrow. This is just one run of one model, and I think it's a little too cool in our southern viewing area. I could see where tomorrow afternoon it gets to, mid-50s, even upper 50s. Lisbon, Salineville, Wellsville, Calcutta, East Liverpool. While the northern part of our viewing area stays in the 40s. It's going to be a good 20 degrees cooler tomorrow in places such as Warren and Cortland and Niles and Sharon and Mercer and Grove City, places like that. But the farther south you are, there won't be as dramatic of a temperature plunge tomorrow compared to today. So, interesting temperature forecast for tomorrow. But low pressure is going to form along that semi-stalled front and come northward, and boy, mid-April, here we go with snow. And, snow is not unusual for this time of the year around here. We don't like to see it usually. We're in full spring mode now. But we get 4% of our annual snowfall, historically speaking, in the month of April. So this is notable, and it's a big story, but it's nothing all that unusual for this time of the year, to be honest. I think any precipitation still falling at 1, 2, 3 a.m. Wednesday morning may still be in the liquid variety, but around 3, 4, 5 o'clock especially, I think we're going to see a transition over to wet snow. Now, this is going to come and go pretty quickly. I think it's already starting to taper off in a lot of spots by around sunrise, maybe 7:30 at the latest Wednesday morning, and then the rest of the day, blustery cold, a couple of flurries around, maybe some sunny intervals as well, and we stay pretty chilly into the day on Thursday. Here's a look at the computer model spread. Not sure exactly what the current run of the graph, that's this blue line here. I'm not sure why it's jumping so fast because, again, for a lot of Tuesday night, especially the first half of the night, it's not going to be snowing. Not sure what it's doing graphically there, but this is for the heart of our viewing area, this model depiction here. So kind of around Youngstown, if you will. And as you can see, all of our models show accumulation. On the high end, the GFS shows 3.5 inches, close to 4. That's probably an outlier. Again, I'm not sure what's going on with the graph here. The Euro and the NAM are closer to where I think reality is going to be. Kind of closer to 2 inches. I think a good range across our area is going to be in that 1, 2, 3 inch range. Here's a look at the National Weather Service odds of seeing certain amounts of snow. So here's 2 inches. And as you can see, there's going to be a north-south gradient. Your odds of 2 inches or more worth of snow in a place like East Liverpool and Lisbon, something like 5, 10, 20% at the most. But once you're up north of 224, and especially north of I-80, your odds of 2 inches or more, become respectable. Somewhere up in here, 40, maybe even a 50-50 chance of 2 inches or more in the northern part of our viewing area. Chances of 4 inches or more, pretty low region-wide. Maybe up to, say, 10 to 20% in Mesopotamia, Bristolville, heading over towards Kinsman, Greenville, But yeah, that's even pushing it. I think all of us are probably going to see less than 4 inches. But yeah, an inch or 2 or 3 is going to be a good possibility, I think, across our TV viewing area. And if you find yourself commuting Wednesday morning to, say, Akron and up towards Cleveland along the Ohio Turnpike or out 76 towards Akron, amounts might ramp up a little bit out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cleveland metro area, especially south of town, gets 3 or 4 inches. Does someone see 6? I think that's pushing it. But yeah, 3 or 4? Ashtabula County, Geauga County, southern parts of Cuyahoga County, maybe northern parts of Summit County. I think that's, within the realm of possibility. I think for our TV viewing area proper, an inch to 2 or 3. Now, a lot of this would be on the non-paved surfaces, on the grass, on your car tops. The sun angle is not going to be a factor because this is all falling at 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. When it snows in April during the day, it's really hard for it to stick. But at this time of day, it can stick. And especially if it thumps, if it comes down hard for 45 minutes in some locations, it may even cause some problems on the roads, especially the bridges and overpasses, the elevated surfaces that tend to be a little bit colder. In general, ground temperatures are going to be pretty mild, even though it's, early in the morning. The run-up to this event, today was in the mid-60s. The ground temperatures will not be like the dead of winter. But again, if it comes down hard enough, it can still stick, again, especially on those elevated and colder surfaces. So if you find yourself commuting early Wednesday morning, heading off to work or school, just maybe allow for a little extra travel time. If you don't have to hit the roads until mid to late morning, I wouldn't expect any problems really at that point. Any problems are going to be pretty early in the day on Wednesday. All right, let's find some good news. Some rain's going to come back this weekend, especially during the second half of Saturday and Saturday night. But the models are cluing in on perhaps a somewhat temporary, but notable pattern change. By the middle of next week, it becomes a much more amplified pattern across North America, so we got a big trough coming into the west. Downstream of that, a ridge pumps up, and that ridge will float overhead, it looks like, during the first half of next week. This might be a pattern that produces an active week in terms of severe weather, middle and latter portions of next week, out in the plain states, maybe down into the southeast. And this is a pattern that will allow some warmth to return for us during the middle of next week. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a day, maybe even 2, where we get into the 70s next week. And so any snow, any wintry intrigue from this week will be long forgotten by next week. Does the warmth stick? Well, the 70s probably don't stick. That might be a 1 or 2 day deal at the most. But will it be a pattern that produces weather like we're going to see middle of this week any more this season? Probably not. I would say the odds favor it being our last hurrah for this kind of cold and this type of snow. I wouldn't guarantee it, but the odds are certainly in the favor of that. All right, so more to come as we get a little bit closer to late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. I'll have you covered on social media, 21 News at 6 and 11, and of course here on Tuesday evening's edition of Weather for Weather Geeks.